Hey everyone, my name's John, and I am not a professional bass instructor. I just happen to like to play bass. I used to be a professional bass player. I put it down for 10 years, and I took up the bass again in December of last year, and so right now it's been about 5 months. It's amazing how much you lose. So if anyone out there has been struggling with consistency of practice, or maybe you put the instrument down and you want to pick it back up, maybe this video will help. I don't know. I'm not really here to try to inspire the world or anything. I was going to show you guys a couple of Rush licks that are great finger exercises. And the reason why I'm showing you this, other than the fact that I love the band Rush, and Geddy Lee's been one of my favorite bass players because I love rock and roll, man. I fucking love rock and roll. I don't listen to jazz. I mean, I'll listen to Weather Report when I want to learn, killer Jocko stuff, which I do. Love it. And Jocko is probably my favorite bass player. But overall, it has to be Geddy because of the sound that Rush makes, and as an incredible power trio. It's fun songs too. And so when I got back into wanting to get the drive back, I decided I'm just going to play things that I really love to play, and I started relearning it. In case you don't know what that is, that's a Vivaldi concerto piece, a cello piece rather, that I learned in college and played for my senior recital. I actually have a degree in music, and it's very long and convoluted and difficult. And so I started playing that again and saying as for a finger exercise. And then I decided, that's kind of studious and a little bit boring, even though I love the piece. But I love Rush, and I love the fact that it's just great music, So I started digging around YouTube and found some guys out there that do some amazing covers of Rush songs, and I highly advise you looking at these guys. One guy that I learned a lot from is a guy named Terry, and I don't know his YouTube. I'll post it underneath his YouTube channel. But I have him to thank for getting me back into playing in general, because I was watching him play Rush songs perfectly, note for note, very, very well, and it just reminded me of how much I loved the bass and how much I loved that kind of playing. So if you're struggling to pick it up, again, it's a great place to start. Is take something that you really love and just decide to master one song and take it really slow and just enjoy the process, because that's what I didn't do back when I went to MIT, not the math school, but the music school. And I went to MIT when it opened. In fact, I was there in the second or third year. That dates me. I'm 49. But I was there in 83 to 84. So that was an amazing time. But I was very impatient because I was like 18 or whatever, and 19, I think, and very impatient. And I just wanted, so when someone would show me something, I tried to play as fast as I could, and I would learn a song, and if I couldn't play it at the tempo, I would be very frustrated with myself and stuff like that. So here's my advice, and it is hard advice for me to take to this very day, is take a song, take a bit of a song, just practice it slow, get it just right, and then just slowly speed it up, and before you know it, you will be playing it. And I took the same approach, because embarrassingly as it may sound, I could play Jocko licks back then, but I still couldn't play YYZ or YYZ, which I'll talk about later in this rambling video series. Because I never sat down and learned it. I never really actually. It's kind of a foreign style of playing to me. And so one of the things I decided to do was to relearn some of the more basic Rush songs, and then I never knew Fly By Night, for example. So that's a fun song to play, and it's not as easy as it sounds. I was like, okay, it was actually kind of challenging a little bit to play some of those parts. And then I decided to take on YYCs, and 6 months later I play it fine. And there are guys out there that play it freaking awesome, and hopefully I'll do a tutorial on that on another day. But that was what got me back into it. So find your favorite band, find your favorite bass player, just learn some of their stuff and slow it down. And that's what I did. I just took Terry stuff and a couple other guys that were really good at it, and I would literally listen to them rather than the Rush track, zoom up on their hands, slow it down, because a lot of these guys play everything at speed. And I finally found a couple guys that would play the YYZ lick. That's actually not the right tempo, but you get the idea. That's not the right time actually. But instead they're going, okay, here's how you play YYZ. Well, thanks a lot. Okay, that's hard for people to figure out every little nuance of that little lick there. And so I found guys that would slow it down, and it's actually harder to play slow. You know, you just have to slow down and think through the rhythm of it all. So that's what I'm going to do today with a couple of Rush songs and just parts of them. I'm not going to play the whole song. One of them is an older. They're both off the same album, Jacob's Ladder and Natural Science. And the reason I picked these two is because Jacob's Ladder has got this really great part in it, which I'll show you in a bit, that it's a great finger exercise. So this is where I'm going with all of this. I'm learning songs that are also great finger exercises to get the dexterity back. And I have my dexterity back. I think it's probably better than it was even when I was playing all the time. I'm not gigging as much, so my time is nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it's getting there. It's a work in progress, you know? The technique was always there, and it can always be better, but I learned technique pretty early on. So technique's important. Definitely master the technique. Try to get out of this. You know, I see a lot of guys playing like that. And, you know, honestly, Geddy plays this way. He plays. That's how he can deal a lot of those kind of triplet licks that he's doing. Is he's got so much pressure coming down like this. It's a lot harder to do it when you have to play it and keep the technique there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take my pinky off the fretboard. It rarely do I do it. Sometimes if I'll do those triplet runs. These triplet runs that he does, and I'll show you that later. But I'll take my pinky off the fretboard there because it's just easier. But I can play it like this, and you should be able to as well. So try to learn with proper technique if you can, and these licks kind of force the technique. And one of them is in the Natural Science lick, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then the other one is the one that we're going to start with is Jacob's Ladder, which a lot of people will hear it and they'll hear all the weird syncopation, and it's freaking awesome syncopation. And you pretty much have to memorize it. If you don't memorize it, you better read music. And I read music okay, not that great, but I read music enough to play the intro to that. But I learned it just by memory. I'd learned it literally playing fake air drums in the car. In fact, I learned to play drums listening to Rush in the car. I mean, I've heard that by a couple of guys, but that's kind of true. I don't play drums well, but yeah. So I learned the syncopation for the Jacob's Ladder. If you haven't heard it, maybe go check it out before you watch the rest of this video, because there's a lot of By the way, I don't play with a pick. I'm just picking out syncopation stuff here and stuff that Geddy doesn't even play. So what I decided to do was learn the entire thing, even down to the little synthesizer parts that he plays. Learn the whole song. Learn the whole song, and that will make you a better player. Learn the song down to the melody. So just a little tip for you. So without any further ado, one last thing. I get questions about this all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys now. The bass is unusual, I know, and it's I'm going to turn this way. Hopefully you can see this. The maker is Sadowski. It's a luthier out of New York City, and he is this is the Will Lee model. Will Lee is the bass player for David Letterman, who's a monster player. Plays in a Jocko tribute band, if that tells you anything at all. But in order to play the Jocko lines, he had to have a bass. I love his honesty. He's like, man, those lines are so freaking hard. He had to have a bass where the action was really low and it kind of like really an easy play. And so he designed this bass with Sadowski, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful instrument. It's amazing. It's got a built-in preamp, and which is not working right now. The sound you're hearing is just out of a crappy amp with the preamp off. The battery just died, but so I didn't change the battery. But it's this black transparent tiger thing, and beautiful graphite, and just an amazing instrument. Highly suggest, if you can, to check it out, and it sounds wonderful. So that's what this is, in case you're wondering. It is a jazz bass, but it is a Sadowski jazz Will Lee model. So let's get into the playing. Thanks for listening to me ramble.